Every traveler knows that sometimes, no matter how well you've planned, it can all fall apart in an instant. Today was one of those days. Oh, and thanks as always to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Hey everyone, it's Scott from SANspotter.com again, and I'm headed down to the airport to catch a Delta 767-400 in business class to New York. Of course, I had no idea that I wouldn't actually be flying today. I'll explain what happened in a moment, but first, let's enjoy the sights and sounds of arriving at the airport to begin yet another transcontinental business class adventure. I had a lot to be excited about. We San Diegans are extremely lucky to be able to fly the all-new and extremely good Delta One business class product from our humble little airport. It's easily one of the best long-haul business class products of any U.S. airline, and quite frankly, I had been looking forward to this flight for weeks. I had everything planned out, right down to the meal I was going to select, and it was going to be perfect. I know. Haven't I learned by now that over-planning is a guaranteed way to ruin a really fun experience? Don't worry, I'll be reminded of that momentarily. Anyway, what's really cool about having a Delta One ticket, even on domestic flights, is that it'll get you into the Sky Club. The Delta Sky Club we have here at the San Diego airport is pretty nice, actually, although it is a bit small. I like it, though, and it was the perfect place to sit and look down at the airplane I had been dreaming about for weeks. Is this not a perfect way to kick off a luxurious Delta One experience to New York? There's no time to sit around, though, because I've got a plane to catch. And just as I was getting my last bit of airport terminal footage for this video, I got a notification on my phone that said the flight had been delayed for 6 hours. And if that wasn't bad enough, an hour and a half later, they delayed the flight yet again. This time, it was until 7 a.m. the next morning. Feeling totally dejected and clueless as to how I was going to save this trip, all I could do was go home.
24 hours later.
Back at the airport, and I know, I'm wearing the exact same thing that I was wearing yesterday. I like what I like, okay? Speaking of which, most of you probably already know how much I love and depend on Surfshark whenever I travel. Since 2019, I've been telling you all about how it's the fastest and simplest VPN that I've ever tried. You've heard me tell you all about how I depend on it to not only secure all of the data being transmitted to and from my devices over public Wi-Fi, but also how awesome it is for getting access to blocked regional content on popular streaming services such as Netflix and HBO Max. However, I haven't talked much about one of its best features, which is a built-in ad blocker. That's right. If you're the kind of person who can't stand dealing with annoying ads when browsing the internet, Surfshark can block most of them for you with a simple flick of a toggle switch. Best of all, you'll get this powerful ad blocking feature at no extra cost. It's all included in the price of a subscription, which is a lot less than most people would think. Using the promo code SCOTT with the link in the description below, you can get 83% off what everyone else would pay. And as a way of saying thanks for using promo code SCOTT, they are throwing in an extra 3 months for free. And now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a tardy Delta 767-400 to deal with. Well, that's my ride to JFK this morning. It's the same aircraft from yesterday, and they're pulling it off a remote stand up to Gate 48, a full hour behind schedule. I'm normally happy to hang out in airports, but this was testing my patience. And, you know, thinking back on it, I can only imagine how threatening I looked as I was standing there getting video footage of the boarding process with an obvious scowl on my face. How did I not get pulled aside by security personnel for a full body cavity search? You'll never know. Okay, here we go. If Delta One is as good as I think it's going to be, this just might end up being a pretty good day after all. And, well, there you have it. Things just went from bad to freaking awesome really quick. This is incredible. Without even sitting down, I kind of felt as if this was the best business class seat that I've seen in a good long while. I've seen lots of pictures and video of these Delta One seats, but I'm here to tell you that pictures and video don't do these things justice. Legroom is just as good as you would expect, and the entire seat is fairly well enclosed. There's lots of tempting little buttons to play with, and full-size noise-canceling headphones as well, which is something that I haven't seen on an airplane since the before times. I also can't help but to think that the white surfaces must be a total pain to keep clean, but props to Delta for coming up with what I think is one of the best-looking long-haul business class products on the market. If I had to be picky, I'd say that the seat felt just a little bit narrow. Not quite British Airways' old Club World seat narrow, but narrow enough to be noticeable, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it in a proper Delta One review such as this. And while you contemplate whether or not you've ever heard me say remiss in an airline review before, just know that I'm not feeling all that frustrated anymore. Things are actually starting to look up. For now, at least. Is there no better feeling in the world than pushing off the gate after nearly a 24-hour delay? Probably, but this felt pretty good. Scheduled flying time to JFK was 4 hours and 58 minutes, which, if I'm being honest, felt far too short. You see, I've flown on the Delta 767-400 many times out of San Diego over the years, but never in business class, and finally getting the chance to do it on a day with favorable tailwinds seemed typical of the way that things have gone so far. Little did I know that I'd have even more stuff to complain about soon. Since there's not much of a view of San Diego today due to the clouds, I'm going to jump straight into airline review mode. The best way to do that, before the meal service starts, is to tell you that these video screens are incredible. I've always been a pretty big fan of the Delta Studio in-flight entertainment product, and combined with these huge screens, I was starting to feel the pressure of finding something good to watch before gorging myself on breakfast. Of course, I didn't know yet that there would be no meal service on today's flight, but it sure was fun to try and pair the perfect TV show or movie with what was sure to be an excellent Delta One business class meal. Really? With all that has gone wrong today, I guess I kinda had to expect that there wouldn't be any food on today's flight other than this. Yes, Delta is serving hot meals in Delta One again after putting them on hold for so long during the pandemic, but there were no meals loaded onto the plane back in San Diego this morning. And if that wasn't enough, my tray table had cooties. But I'm gonna pretend that I didn't see that because there's lots to say about these snack boxes, and I'm worried that complaining about crumbs would dilute the disappointment that I'm about to unleash on the description of the bistro box. Basically, I don't understand these things. It's essentially a box of junk food. Not only is there very little nutritional value here, there's nowhere near enough substance to feel satisfied afterwards. You guys have no idea how much I miss the AirAsia chicken rice thing. True. There is nothing more scary and frustrating to a guy than a toilet seat that does this. This isn't shocking though. I guess I kinda had to expect a rogue toilet seat with all the other annoying things that I've had to deal with so far. I'm going back to my seat now. Alright, in the spirit of staying positive, let's see if I can save this review. Perhaps the best way to do that is with the amazing blankets and pillows you get in Delta One. Delta may have totally botched this experience so far, but man, these are comfortable. The only problem that I had was worrying about falling asleep completely and missing out on some amazing footage for the review. Here's a friendly tip for you. If you've ever thought about becoming an airline reviewer, just know that you'll find it impossible to relax and enjoy any flight from that point forward. This may look like fun, and it is, I'm not gonna lie, but it's a lot more stressful than it looks. Poor me. Quick shout out to both Simon and Neil, two of my favorite aviation YouTubers who no doubt understand the pressure that comes with putting together a thorough airline review. They both do it far better than I can, so do check them out if you are at the point where you just can't stand my stupid commentary any longer. Okay, we are on the descent into JFK now, so let's talk about my opinions of Delta One on the 767-400. Overall, I think it's a fantastic hard product. Not only are the cabins beautifully designed, the seats, combined with these cloud-like blankets and pillows, are some of the best in the business. Oh, and I'm gonna let the baby seated in seat 8D convey my excitement about getting a nice view of New York City through the clouds. However, I can't end this review without noting a couple things that I didn't like. First, the seats in the lie-flat position felt just a little bit lumpy. They're not as comfortable as, say, American Airlines 777-200 or 787-9 business class seats. Second, the cabin crew on this flight seemed very disinterested and spent the majority of the flight in the galley playing with their mobile phones. I get that they had less to do because of not having to do the full meal service, but I rarely saw them come to the cabin refilling drinks or doing anything else. Oh well. This entire experience was flawed from the beginning, but I've been flying long enough to know that these things happen. And the only way to rectify this problem, of course, will be to review it again. It'll be brutal, I know, but I'm willing to take one for the team. Oh, and would you look at that? My first ever water cannon salute. Actually, this was for the captain, and I can't help but to feel bad that his retirement flight was delayed by 21 hours. At least he'll have a good story to tell, I guess. Massive thanks and good vibes are in order for all of the SANspotter patrons: Aaron Slater, David Kelly, Riley Wingo, Naomi Slivko, and everyone else. You all know that you're awesome, right? And that's it for me this week. But the Delta 767-400 action isn't over quite yet, as I got a ride on another one in economy class for the ride back to San Diego. That was a very different experience. Hope you'll stay tuned for that video, and until then, fly safe.